Hey everybody, it's Ben. You're in the Riverbank kitchen with me, of course. We're going to make something today. An invention we created in the experimenting in the kitchen class. We're calling them Pea Puppies. They're a way to take advantage of the ever-present leftover brown rice. If you live and cook in a plant-based kitchen, there is always brown rice left over. After a couple days, you stare at it, you want to eat it, but you just don't have the heart or the desire. In this instance, our Pea Puppies are going to take advantage of this, essentially what's a cup of leftover brown rice. I have some leftover peas, of course, hence the name Pea Puppies. And we have some potato flour. If you don't have potato flour in your kitchen, I'd recommend it. You know, they get a penny for it at the store, but it's useful because we can add it to something like these Pea Puppies. They're going to bind the final product for us a little bit, plus give us a very potatoey taste without much potato at all, which is good for us because potato adds a lot of extra sugar, and even though they're delicious, it's kind of like eating a bag of candy, and as a grown adult, most of us do not need to be eating bags of candy. For that matter, children don't either, but we'll let them live. I have some, in this case, I'm using some chopped up pecans. Can we only use pecans in this recipe? I bet you should be well advised that any type of nut's probably going to be really good, but pecans are pretty rich. We're going to make sure they're chopped up really finely. I'm going to show you the proportions in a second. What else do I have here? I have some, it's a soy-based product. It's a sour cream alternative, and we're going to put just a little bit of it in there to sort of make it somewhat decadent, but we're going to use this for a sauce we're going to make with some Thai chili paste, which sriracha I think most people call it. It's fantastic. If you don't have it in your kitchen, buy it immediately. What else? I have some leftover cilantro here. Kind of sad, but it's enough for our purposes. We're going to put a little bit into our sauce as well. And a little salt. I got a sad lemon here. We were cooking with this, and I don't have the heart to throw it away because it's perfectly good. We're going to use a little bit of this too. I got some pretty decadent mayonnaise over here. It's olive oil mayonnaise. We're just going to use a little bit of that to mix in with our soy-based sour cream deal to give us a sense that we're eating a sauce that's much more decadent than it really is, as it gets water all over my hand. What else? Salt and pepper, of course. Champagne's for me, even though it is critical to cooking, it's not actually part of the recipe. We're going to go over to the stove. I'm going to show you some of the proportions here, mix them all up, show you what it looks like, move the camera in close, and then we're going to go over to the stove and fry them up and show you what the end result is. And I'm hoping that you're going to give these a try. It gives you an example of some of the cool things we churn out at the Riverbank Academy. Simple, healthy, fast, easy, tasty, fantastic items that anyone can make. And you're slowly training yourself to eat more plants as opposed to all the other crap that we get fed and forced down our throats every day. So hold on tight. We're going to move in and see what our ingredients list is, mix it up, and go from there. Okay, so here we are. This is a close-up of our ingredients that I was just showing you. This is maybe 1/8 of a cup of chopped pecans. You can chop them as finely as you like. These aren't super fine, but they're going to be good enough. I have some garlic powder here. You could use fresh garlic. Frankly, the peas are pretty light and fresh tasting, so a little garlic powder in this instance I think will suffice. Give us a little bit of zing without too much garlic overpowering. This is that soy product I told you about. This is maybe 1/4 of a cup of that soy cream cheese alternative. We're not going to use all of this in here. I'm actually just going to take a dollop of this, maybe like that much. What is that? Maybe less than a tablespoon. I'm going to throw that in with my brown rice. The rest of this was the mayonnaise I told you about. There's not even a tablespoon of mayonnaise there, so we can't get concerned about that. I'm going to put it in with the rest of that cream cheese alternative. And while I'm here, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to take some of this sriracha and I'm going to put that in there. That's maybe a generous teaspoon of it, and I'm going to put a little bit of salt in there too, just for the heck of it, and there's just a couple pinches of salt. I might throw, since we have some of this garlic powder that we're going to use in our pea our Pea Puppies, and there's not a lot in there. I'm going to put a little bit in our sauce too, just a little bit. And here's our potato flour, and this in this container is maybe a little bit of a rounded tablespoon. I'm going to use most of it, say maybe like a tablespoon of this potato flour. That is such a magical item right there. And what else? I'm doing two things at once here. I'll get to finishing my sauce when I chop up the cilantro. I'm going to throw a little cracked pepper in here, because pepper and peas are really good. And maybe a little pepper in my sauce too, just for the hell of it. And now my peas. I'm going to throw my peas in there. Okay, that's good. I'm going to cut a little bit of this lemon. And just so we have a little bit of lemon juice in there, I think it's going to be nice and fresh. And we'll put that over there. Now our sad little bunch of cilantro, I'm going to cut off most of this. And you don't have to chop it really with a knife. If you have a kitchen scissors are the best. They're so useful. You can take them apart and clean them. I'm just chopping this up finely, and you're going to see what I'm going to do in a second before I take one of my fingers off. Mind that little finger, it always ends up getting in a knife blade somehow. And I'm going to take the rest of this sad, I need more cilantro, and I'm going to cut it up and put it into what will be my yummy sauce for these Pea Puppies that will be on the stove momentarily. We're kind of almost done, and we haven't even been working in this kitchen for a minute, and these Pea Puppies are pretty much almost done. I'm going to set that there. This we can just mix up nice and easy, and we're going to set it aside and be done with it. This is going to go on the Pea Puppies later when they're done. This just mix up. If you like it super hot, put more of that chili paste in there. It's really tasty. Chili paste, the sriracha also works well in Bloody Marys, FYI. I wonder how I figured that out. Okay, that sauce is done. Let's get back to these peas. I'm going to get that out of the way. Peas and brown rice. I have this cool thing. It's a coarse ground grinder for mortar and pestle. Which is it? Is this the mortar or the pestle? Someone leave a comment and refresh my memory. All I'm doing is pulverizing all of this in the bowl. I'm going to squish it all together. It's going to make a mush. Did I put any of those nuts in there? I didn't put any nuts in there. I'm going to throw some of those in there too. Pretty much all of them. It's probably 1/8 of a cup of pecans. And what else do I need to do here? What do you think about throwing a little bit of heat in with these Pea Puppies? I have, so far, some garlic powder, some potato flour, a little bit of that soy alternative cream cheese for creaminess, a little bit of lemon, some cilantro, a little bit of salt. I put in some pepper, didn't I? I think I did. And let's throw a little bit of this in there too, the sriracha, because we also have it in our sauce. So I'm going to put in, how much? Not too much. You can't really see there, but maybe a teaspoon, nothing more. This gives it a little red color. And guess what? These crazy little Pea Puppies, see that consistency? I'm going to work on this for a bit. Once I get it ground down to a nice little pulp, if I need more binder, I might add a little more of this potato flour, which I think I'm going to do. And that's it. I'm going to work on this, and we're going to go over to the stove in a second. Can you see that consistency? If I took this knife out, I'm getting it so it's formable into these little patties. The potato flour is what helps it stick together. And don't be shy about squishing all this down. Oops, sorry for the noise. If you don't have a cool piece of equipment like this, a wooden spoon, or you could use a food processor for that matter if you wanted to make it easier for yourself. I kind of like this. It gets out a little bit of aggression. Now we're getting somewhere. It's kind of a nice paste there. You see that? And what a beautiful color. Wow. These are going to be delicious. Let's go over to the stove and see what happens when we fry them up. Okay, so now we're at the stove. We're ready. I have my Pea Puppy paste. That's just fun to say, Pea Puppies. I have my Pea Puppy paste right here. I'm going to put in a little bit of olive oil to fry them up in. Not tons. We're not like using a big deep fryer here. Just putting a little coat of olive oil on the bottom of this pan. That's it. And I'm going to get a little spoon here to measure out my pea puppy. Don't put plastic on a big range like this or it'll melt. I'm doing it just for the sake of this video. I'm making small little hush puppy batter, or puppy pies. Hush puppy, pea puppy. What the hell are these? Pea puppies. Thank you. Small little pea puppies for this party I'm throwing. I'm going to just start putting them in. There's maybe, I don't know, a couple tablespoons here, max. And we're going to put them in this pan here. Oh my god, can you hear that? Oh, they already sound good. They actually smell really good too, so fresh. I always overlook peas. You know, they're always in my freezer and I use them on occasion, but they're not one of my favorite food items, so I was really excited to help come up with this recipe and are experimenting in the kitchen class. I'm just putting a few of these in here so we can see what they look like, and then I'll make a little presentation and we'll be done. Now, I'm not going to worry too much about what they look like at the beginning here. They don't really look the most attractive. They're just kind of mounds of peas and mush. But once they cook up a little bit, then we can start shaping them. These are cooking up nicely. We don't want them to be too tall. You know, too tall. Not gonna cook them as crunchy as we like. We're gonna kind of squash them down as they go, so they get a little flatter. Make sure they got enough oil on them. And once these start browning, once I flip them, you're going to see how yummy they look. And I'm just going to get right in there because I'm used to working with the heat. I'm going to shape them a little bit with my hands. You could easily do these in the oven too. If you had a convection oven, would be ideal. You could form all these, place them on a baking sheet with oil, and then toss them in a convection oven. And you'd have to flip them, of course. But that would be a really easy way to make a ton of pea puppies if you had a lot of people coming over. And as we express in the Riverbank Academy kitchen, that you try something like this the first time, you don't really expect to have it perfect the first time. 3 times is a charm. So you get the hang of it. Maybe you try this same recipe that we described here, and you want it hotter, or saltier, or lemonier, or whatever, different types of nuts. Experiment. Try it. See what happens. By the 3rd time you've made these, chances are they're going to be perfect. Now these are already almost ready to flip. I'm excited. And before I do that, I am going to move the camera so you can see what they look like. There we go. Now you can see what's going on here. I have the heat turned up pretty high, and I think these are about ready to flip. Let's see what happens when I try. Ooh, yum! Let's try that one. I'm cooking on non-stick here. There's a lot of chefs that say never cook on non-stick pans. You know what? Sometimes non-stick is ideal, and especially when you're doing tiny little delicate things like this. There's no need to have it stick onto a conventional steel. Just make sure you use non-metal utensil on a non-stick surface. That this one's kind of coming apart here doesn't really matter because we'll just stick it together. See what's happening? See how delicious they look? Frankly, I like these right here that are a little darker, and I'd keep them on as long as you can. You can flip them again if you need to. You can brown that other side, as I probably will. But you get the idea. See how beautiful they look? Yum! So, these are the pea puppies when they're done. They look, I don't know how they look on this camera, but they're beautiful here in my kitchen. I tasted one of them. They need a little more salt, so don't be shy about adding a little salt or seasoning them more the next time you make them. You can put a little, add a little cilantro to your plate if you want. I said we had that yummy little dressing too we made with this cilantro. Remember we had some of the sriracha, we had our soy-based sour cream, and a little bit of olive oil mayo, a little bit of salt, a little bit of garlic powder too, and you can make something really yummy like this. Serve these to your friends, and they're, like I say, they're really deceptively tasty and yummy. Yeah, those Pea Puppies, you really can't get any easier than that. It's literally just made with leftovers, quick and easy, good for us, surprisingly tasty and fresh. Ideally, you want to eat them more at room temperature, maybe a little warm, but not too hot because they might fall apart. Too cold, clearly that's not a good option for us either. You can make them a day in advance, keep them in the fridge. If you have guests coming over for a little brunch or an afternoon visit with maybe something a little stronger than water, then you bring them out. Toss them in the oven, warm them up a little bit, bring them out, and there's tons of fun things you can put on them or serve them with. Also, keeping in mind, keep those fluids replenished. Cooking can be exhausting. And if you haven't subscribed to our Riverbank Social Club channel on YouTube, please do. We need all the help and encouragement and press we can get. And if you're interested in any summer classes at the Riverbank Academy or anything coming up this fall, shoot me an email. We'd love to have you in the kitchen. Have a great week. Talk to you soon.